moving average. And that is kind of my little creation there in terms of putting those three together at that setting and using them as a market trend indicator. Okay, so I like to use that alongside my initial trend, which gives me an excellent view of what's happening in the market. In fact, right now, my 34 EMA wave is starting to get less lumpy, bumpy, as I call it. It's got a whole lot less play in it, and it's starting to possibly flatten out. Now, that tells me the volatility is dropping. I can also see by the initial trend 2-bar reading that the volatility is also dropping. My initial trend goes from 1 to 10. Okay? 1 to 3 bars is a low volatility sideways market. 4 to 5 bars usually indicates a higher volatility range-bound market. And 6 to 10 bars indicates a trend. Well, if I've got a triangle pattern, it's either going to be in a congestion during the wider, more volatile part of its development to a consolidation pattern. In fact, the triangle is a congestion to consolidation pattern as prices squeeze within the ever-narrowing trend lines and or support or resistance of the pattern. So in terms of the settings that you might see on your platform, I mentioned not to tweak the initial trend setting. Leave that open. Leave that at 0 because you want to be able to see patterns that are occurring with lots of different initial trend. That's why I always tell traders not to limit your initial trend because, again, depending upon its reading, you could confirm the underlying market psychology. And again, my 34 EMA wave coupled with the initial trend gives me an incredible view of market psychology. And right now, what I'm seeing in the Euro-US dollar, the daily time frame, is a slow reduction of volatility. Volatility is lessening a little bit. We can see that visually as well. You can see that the range is narrowing. Okay. So again, let me go back into the indicator list, go to the chart patterns. And again, you can see here, I put the uniformity up a notch. I put the clarity up a notch, just one. I have a length of 30. I'll keep it 20. I don't think it needs to be changed that much. But again, if you're getting patterns that you find are just not what you're looking for, uniformity and clarity are great places to start to look for patterns. Now, we've been looking at completed patterns up till now. Okay, I'm going to make a little shift here in our view because I don't want to put a busy chart in front of you right off the bat. So if you notice, filter show completed is marked as true. The show emerging is currently false, which means it's not going to show emerging patterns. Now, emerging patterns for me are my bread and butter. I want to see what's in development. I don't want to see simply what is already triggered, because while the forecast area, which is this gray shaded area on the screen, which is basically forecasting where a triggered pattern could follow through towards, I also want to see patterns that are still under development, where the price action is still trading within the pattern, so I can be more proactive about my entries. So I simply change that to true, clicked OK, and you'll see what we'll end up with, since I asked the plugin for both completed, which are patterns that have triggered and are accompanied by that gray box, the forecast region, and emerging. Now, some of you might say, I don't need the completed on my screen. Here's one piece of advice, and this could be a very helpful thing. What I like to do, and this goes to one of the questions I see a little further down the list, is I have one chart with the plugin running for completed patterns only. I have another chart running the plugin with emerging patterns only. And I have both set on 2 patterns. So I have two charts, two separate charts running on my MT4. I have the same plugin running, but again, one where I have completed as true and emerging as false, and the other where I have completed as false and emerging as true. So I have one chart dedicated only to patterns in development, and I have one chart dedicated to patterns that have triggered. Okay? So that's one way you can separate the two. Because I know a lot of people might look at this and go, you know, it's just too much going on there. And I agree with you to a good degree. Okay, right now, the triangle pattern that's emerging, you know, which one is it? So that's why I would tell you, have two separate charts, and this is one of the individual things that I like to do with it. Have two separate charts and simply tell the software that you want to focus either on one or the other in terms of completed or emerging. So now we can see that emerging pattern, clear as day, right? Gorgeous looking triangle, really explains the squeeze that's occurring to the euro-US dollar. Okay? So that's what I like to look at. Still a good deal of volatility, but I think the volatility is dropping. And I can use the same setting across all my time frames. Okay? All right, so let's keep going here with our questions. And again, the individual broker questions, gang, I really could not help you with in terms of who's offering, you know, what. Ask your broker. I'm not familiar with each broker's offerings. I do know if they're a broker partner, they are likely to be offering this new version. Okay? So definitely contact them. All right? And again, I can see there's a lot of new traders in the room here, traders from a lot of broker-related questions. So again, it's just kind of a, let's get through those. And again, tech support and contact your broker, and you should be able to get the information you need. All right? Okay, so let's see. So I go down the list here. Yes, the gray box is the forecast. If you have any questions, again, about the particulars about Autochartist, don't get too wrapped up in the fact that this is an MT4 version versus the standalone web-based version. You can still go back to Autochartist.com, and all the information about Autochartist applies equally to the plugin. Okay? Here's a situation with the plugins being, you know, run over by price action. So what can I do? I can double-click that upper icon or that little symbol in the upper left-hand corner of the box, and I can just move it out of the way. Okay? All right, so as far as those of you that are asking me about how I trade patterns, gang, this is kind of a quirky little topic we have today. By the way, I don't choose the topics. These topics are chosen by the different questions that we seem to get week to week and by the Autochartist office. So it's not necessarily a topic of my choosing. This is more really a topic that reflects a lot of the questions and emails that we're getting back at headquarters. So it's kind of a quirky topic today, I know. Again, it's kind of a coming out party for the MT4. I wanted to explain to you a little bit about what it is and how to use it. I hope the tip about separate charts, one completed, one for emerging, helps. You could even put the pattern count up to 2 on each one, because at least at that point you've got a better idea of what you're looking at, less overlap. Okay? I hope you can put the clarity and uniformity reading up just a little bit to hopefully get patterns that are more to your liking. Don't forget, when you want to know where the pattern breakdown is occurring, put your mouse over top of the trend line and you'll be able to get a reading of the trend line price value, which is very powerful, which is something that really wasn't available on the standalone. Okay? So there are a lot of perks to having both. Okay? This is not a situation where you're supplanting one with the other. They supplement each other. All right? Again, any questions regarding you trading through a non-partner broker, just address that over to Autochartist, and they'll be able to help you out as far as what they can do for you. Okay? All right. And again, tech support at Autochartist.com. As far as personal settings, those were the major ones. As questions from Vincent. Those are the major settings. I don't really tweak it a whole heck of a lot. I'll increase the pattern count. I separate the emerging from the completed. I might increase the uniformity and clarity just a notch, but for the most part, you're looking at it exactly how I would do it. The only difference is I'm not showing you the two different charts, one for completed, one for emerging. But I highly recommend that. That's my personal setting. And then, of course, how to trade the chart patterns. We've got a ton of video from past presentations that walk through that step by step. Okay. All right, I've got a lot of questions about the plugin. Again, please direct that over to tech support at Autochartist.com. All right, they'll be able to answer that for you. My job here this morning was to introduce to you the new version that's finally available. Show you some of the slight tweaks and slight tricks, you know, some easy ones to get to know the new plugin a little bit better, some of the benefits. Again, this is not meant to supplant the standalone, but it's meant as an addition to the standalone. All right. If for no other reason, just to have the trend line and support resistance values, it's absolutely worth it. And of course, the ease of having them automatically populate on your chart is obviously extremely helpful. Okay. Okay, so with all that said, let me see if there's any other questions that I have not tackled. All right, well, any other questions here? All right, so as I mentioned, today's topic was to, again, introduce the plugin. If you have any questions about the individual patterns, how to set them up, how to trade them, we have video on that. That should be, we've done past webinars on that, so we'll have video on that available at the past recordings website at Autochartist.com. Again, today's topic was somebody introduced you to the platform. I know, kind of a quirky topic for us because usually we're knee-deep in the markets and talking about analysis, but I think it's important that you guys understand that if there's a new addition to the software family, that you know how to use it and where to get it. So that's what today's discussion was dedicated towards. Thanks, as always, for joining me. I appreciate your time, and hopefully you have a few more answers and questions, and we'll get back to our hardcore trading talks hopefully next week. Yes? Okay. Hey, well, thanks again for letting me share the plugin with you. I appreciate that. I think this is something that's really going to help you guys, and we're going to be using this version moving forward, so just as well have you guys familiar with it. All right? So my thanks for you guys for your attention and for your questions. As always, it's appreciated. And have a great weekend, okay? Take care, everybody.